Hey everyone, I'm Janine from WCBG, and today we have Lip Candy with us. If you guys can go around, introduce yourselves, tell me what you play in the band, and tell me a fun fact about you.
Ooh. My name's Thomas. I sing and play guitar in Lip Candy. And fun fact, I played baseball for basically my whole life up until junior year. And I had to quit because my local band started doing pretty well. And I was really scared of my baseball coach. So like I walked into the office and I was like, Coach, I have to quit. So that's my fun fact.
There you go.
Love it.
I'm Philip. I play bass in the band, and the fun fact about me would most certainly have to be that I'm actually left-handed. I write and throw like a ball with my left hand, but I somehow am more comfortable playing right-handed on all of my instruments that I play.
Interesting.
Hi, I'm Alex. I play drums in the band, and my fun fact is I have a twin brother.
Ooh.
Not a lot of people know about.
Nice. We always like to open also with a cute little icebreaker that was asked at freshman orientation. And the icebreaker is, if you can be any item in the kitchen, what would you be and why?
Ooh.
Probably the dishwasher, because I love, feeling clean, so yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's like taking a shower.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Mm.
You have yours?
Yeah, I'm still thinking, honestly. I'm debating between two. Honestly, I'm gonna have to say spatula, just because I'm very to the point with it and how you'd slam a
Yeah.
patty down on the grill.
I was gonna say I'm like tongs, because I use that so much for every single thing I cook, just to flip things up. I'm not good with spatulas or any other cooking utensils, but the tongs so easy.
Tongs, baby.
Tongs.
Very creative answers, I do have to say. Those are good ones. Ones I actually really haven't heard often, so it's great to hear.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
nice. Good to hear. Original.
I'll admit, I burn my hands all the time.
Oh no.
But we're
He still has them.
we're good. Yeah, I can still use them.
Okay, not too many issues when you're playing the drums.
Oh no, there's other issues.
Other than keeping time and
Yeah.
Oh no.
I get blisters every show, and I break at least one pair of sticks. So there's other issues.
Yeah.
At this point, I guess it's tradition.
I have to.
Oh yeah.
So with COVID, how have you guys been marketing yourselves music-wise?
TikTok. To keep it the simplest, we've also really kind of vamped up our YouTube page. We've done a bunch of like full band covers. I would just say just social media grind, honestly.
Yeah, we were definitely, before COVID, our strongest characteristic was that we really thrived on live, like on a stage, like in a live performance setting. So we kind of took this time during the pandemic to really kind of rally the troops on like social media and really try and corral a good group of fans that we can release music to.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed recently a lot more people are using TikTok and other outlets to market themselves and stay relevant and kind of introduce themselves to others. I think nowadays it's been less gatekeeping in a sense. Like it's easier for people to find artists they really enjoy just from going through all of these social media platforms.
Yeah.
Right.
So my next question for you guys is, how do you think streaming services like Spotify have affected the industry?
Whew.
It's singles.
Yeah, albums are not as hip. I mean, they're still cool, but singles run the market, and record labels are not needed as much. They're still kind of needed, but in terms of getting heard, you don't really need a label anymore.
Yeah, I'd say full-length albums are very much in if you're a well-established artist, like Billie Eilish is about to release a full-length album, but in terms of, just kind of, I guess, trying to get in the now or trying to be in word of mouth, right? Singles is really just kind of how Spotify has driven everything.
It's about like just constant consistency.
Mm.
And people don't have time to wait like a year and a half for another album. They just one
exactly.
It released
Yeah.
one a month.
Yeah, and with the incorporation,
until you die.
Yeah, with the incorporation of like playlists, like you know, you've also got like you can't really put an entire album on a playlist, and those playlists are what really drive, you know, stream numbers and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed it as like a listener. The curated playlists have definitely, I think, been a big feature, and at least how I discover new artists. I also go down like the rabbit hole of like fans also like to find people most of the time. Because I don't know, I feel like sometimes the most mainstream artists aren't necessarily the best in a sense. Like there are, like you guys are like hidden gems kind of, like your fan base, you should have more people listening to you based on the music you put out.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely kind of has that dynamic, especially recently with, you know, back to the social media grind, like, and people feeling like they kind of, you know, found us first with the whole hidden gems thing. It's like, you know, because we're completely independent, like people kind of, you know, I feel like they respect that. And like when they find us, they definitely have like that connection. Because, you know, they're helping us grow, you know?
Definitely awesome to see from a radio perspective, a smaller band like reach new heights. And after a certain point, you're like, oh my God, I knew them way back when. And now they're doing these big things.
Yeah.
So I'm actually quite curious, speaking of like music that we've listened to, what is your favorite album in your personal collection? And by personal collection, I mean you physically have to own it.
Ooh, well, I have a stack over there. I would say in that stack, I would pull it out, but that, you know, that's a whole thing. Mr. Asylum by a band called Highly Suspect. One of the best records, you know, ever in my opinion. It totally kind of revived rock in the mid 2010s. Kind of like brought back like a 90s-y, gritty, grungy vibe, but like put some blues in there and also modernized it. Yeah, I think it's insane. It's a great album.
One of my favorite albums of all time is Return of the Frog Princess by Jeremy Enig. It's like this tiny cult album from 1996, and my English teacher in high school turned me on to it. He literally wrote it down on a post-it note. It was like, hey, I think you'd like this. I looked it up, and I did very much. And then I found it while I was at Amoeba Records in San Francisco. I was walking around like the used dollar CD bin, and I just happened upon it, and I was like, this is my favorite CD of all time, and I needed to like physically own it. And I'm so happy that I have it, because I get like little liner notes, and liner notes are my favorite thing of all time.
Mine would have to be, I have this one record released by Tame Impala right after they released Lonerism, and they have a live performance which they tracked and recorded, and that they play one song on there that they only play live called Sestri Levante, and that's just like my favorite song of all time. So that's why.
You like it or something?
This might sound a little philosophical. I think that an album somebody chooses to physically own says something about them as a person, just because like this is something tangible and real to have.
Yeah, most definitely.
I think recently there's also been a huge like vinyl revival kind of in the scene. I've just noticed a lot of people now actually going out to buy records, and I was like, oh, this wasn't a thing like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why that is, and we've actually kind of discovered this, is like, I think when you listen to vinyl, you hear stuff that you wouldn't hear, like, you know, off a Bluetooth speaker or something. Like we were playing a couple summers ago, we were playing a Guns N' Roses record in the living room, and we heard like literal little guitar snippets, guitar parts, you know, kind of buried in the song that I'd never heard before. And I think vinyl just brings out a different kind of like frequency, and like, I don't know, there's something about it. You hear stuff that, you know, you're not used to hearing on your phone, or, you know.
It's as hi-fi as it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Infinite bit rate.
I think that makes a lot of sense, because I know like Spotify compresses the music file sometimes, so you're not going to hear everything you would on a record.
Exactly, yeah.
So speaking of sound, can you guys please describe your sound for me? in 3 words. You can each do 1 word or you can each do 3, up to you.
I would say alt pop rock.
Old pop rock.
You
I
know.
was off brand blank.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's so good. Off brand. Yeah, I mean,
That's what the haters call us. That's what the haters
Really?
post rock pop. That's what I'm gonna call it.
All right. Lit. I like that. I like 2 of those 3.
Post pop punk. Yeah.
Sure, fine.
Yeah, I'm just
I would-
throwing 3 words together.
I would just say we're alt, we're rock, we're pop,
There we go.
and we're at that's
Keep it succinct.
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
We take like a lot of influences, but we feel like we don't have like one band or one like, very specific genre that we fall into because we have those things. So it's kind of hard to put like one label on something. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yes, I love the sound question because like I never want to place a band in a box by accidentally giving them the wrong genre. So it's great to hear. As you said, you guys have like different influences, and when I listen to your songs, it's sometimes hard to figure out where you fall because you're not exactly pop punk, you're not exactly pop rock. So it's kind of like straddling the 2 in a way where you're like, oh, this is new.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Well, that's cool that you think that. That's cool that you think that. That's good to hear. It's good to hear.
Good to know. So in your new song, Lead, I'm going to be honest, I was like, wow, this doesn't exactly sound like your older stuff, which I was like, oh, there's been a nice little progression happening here. So how did you guys come about creating the new song?
Well, that funny story, that song's actually been written for a while. Almost 2 years to be exact.
You wrote that riff forever.
We tracked a bunch of songs a couple years ago and held on to them because we had a release plan and then COVID hit. And then, just things just kept happening, plans kept changing. And now that the world's kind of coming back, we're finally dropping all these songs that we've had for a minute. But it definitely is kind of a newer sound because our past songs have this is probably the softest song we've done. A lot of our other songs are kind of headbangers, but this one is it's like more of a groover, you know what I'm saying? And definitely we popped up the melodies a lot, which I love. I love putting kind of rock instrumental, but putting pop melodies over them and like adding a lot of modern pop production. So that's kind of the direction we're going for sure.
That's pretty interesting. I know it's always a time for like when you guys hold on to a song for so long and then like release it to the masses because we're hearing it for the first time. We're like, oh wow, like this is awesome. And it's like you guys had it for so long and now you're like, oh my God, everyone else can finally hear what we've been working on.
Yeah. It's definitely exciting that it's out, to say the least.
Yeah.
We've been ready for it. We've been ready.
Was there a particular reason you guys chose this song as the one to be the one that was released, and since it's been like a year?
Well, we have 2 more unreleased songs from this batch that we've had for a while. And those are kind of more upbeat. And I think we kind of wanted to save those for like, the summer hits. But we wanted to get this one out first. So I think that's why. Also,
a vibe change, like it was kind of intentionally, like we had Hate to See You Go and Wasted Night out there, and it was pretty specific sound, like just very rock driven, and then we wanted to be like, oh, we are diverse, we can make other sounds too.
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, the progression of an artist, I do think it is interesting that you guys dropped, as you said, a softer sounding song, but at the same time, I feel like the lyrics on this one were not what I expected in a sense, like compared the juxtaposition between, like, as you said, the melodies and the instrumentals. I was like, wow, this is, after a couple of listens, you're like, wait, there's a lot going on here, which is really cool to hear.
Yeah, that's cool to hear that from someone
Yeah, it means
else.
a lot. It's very heartwarming.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious on what your favorite part of the song is. It can be a lyric, it can be a melody line, it could be anything.
I would say I obviously love that guitar riff. I wrote that guitar riff during like a really tough time that I had a couple years ago, and I just think it was how simple it was but catchy. I just love that guitar riff, and my favorite like part of the song I would say is the bridge, because I think you hear the most raw emotion in my voice in that one. I think it just hits different.
Yeah, I would definitely say the same. That right. I think you're talking about the same part where it's right before, you know, it's the climax of the song. It's in that bridge, and then it's just Thomas's vocals, and then everything kind of crashes hard. It kind of gives that.
Yeah, the first like 10 seconds of that bridge where it's like, is anybody out there? And your voice is like very soft, and then it builds, and then we go right back into it, which I really like. But that first little part is like very intimate.
Yeah.
For one of our songs.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a particular story behind the song?
Kinda, but it's also, I would just say it's in general just, you know, we're young, we're going through college, it's mainly just about having to, you know, let people go after you've grown so attached to them. And like, you know, we're at a very transformational time in our lives, and just, you know, there's a lot that happens in these 4 years, and you know, you just kind of have to move on from it. You know, like you make mistakes, you know, you get attached to people, and you know it and so when you just move on from that, and you have to learn how to grow up, you know, with those things, and you know, it's just there's a hurt and there's a healing process. So I really wanted the song to capture not only the hurt and the growing, but like the healing and the, you know, becoming stronger from it. So yeah.
It's definitely relatable just hearing it. I love when a song, you can hear it for the first time and be like, I understand, like I've been through that. And I think one of the things about this one particularly is that it's going to be timeless, in a sense that like anyone can relate to the song at any point in their life, not just when it was released. So it's pretty cool to hear that and see what happens next.
We're excited to show you what's next.
So actually also curious, I know you released a lyric video for this song. Was there a particular reason why you did a lyric video and not a music video?
I think kind of with what you just said, how relatable the lyrics are. I think, you know, it just really helps people kind of understand and capture the meaning when you can see the words on a screen next to us playing the song. And because, you know, when we're performing in that video, we're performing in a way that the song makes us feel. And when that's paired up next to the lyrics, it's capturing not just lyrics, but also the emotion from it. So I think that's mainly why. It's just because the, you know, the relatableness of the song and the message we wanted to get across from it.
I definitely think it was an interesting choice. It does make sense what you said, like after understanding and hearing that. I've just never really seen a lot of people releasing lyric videos nowadays. I feel like everyone's like, oh my God, we have to focus so much on the production. But I think the focus on having the lyrics be the showcase and like you guys there supporting it gave it a different feel, and it definitely relates to what the song's about.
Yeah, it goes back to like the whole intimacy thing. Like it's more intimate, and as opposed to us just like playing and you're seeing it, it's like you are understanding the song as we're playing it. Like you're getting what we're saying.
Yeah, in the lyric video, there wasn't one shot with all three of us in it. There was all just kind of to emulate that transparency, that being alone and kind of, you know, dealing with it really, you know, internally.
So you guys mentioned college earlier. Am I allowed to inquire what your majors are?
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
He and I are actually the same major. We are, it's called Popular Commercial Music. And it's basically, you know, you learn about, you know, there's music theory, like the actual technical side of music. And then there's also, you know, you learn about the business too, you know, marketing, management. There's even a little bit of entertainment law. So just kind of like a gist of the music industry. So yeah, and then
I just graduated with a bachelor's in linguistics.
Okay. Definitely understand that. I was a math and history double major, and now I'm in grad school for business analytics. So like, not related.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking about going back potentially like down the road, or I was thinking about it, getting a master's in computational linguistics and like natural language processing and AI, stuff like that. And then this happened. I joined this band.
Yeah, we stole them away from actually making money.
Yeah.
I actually have learned stuff about AI and natural language processing, so I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff.
Yes, it is. And I love how you guys are like doing things you're very interested in and care about. And I think it does relate to being in a band in a sense, like what you guys major in. It's very interesting for me to always hear this because I've heard so many different things. Like people are like, I majored in comp sci, and I'm like, you're the lead singer of a band, but okay. So it's always fun to see what people do. Do you guys think that since you are a younger band in a sense, do you guys think that what you're growing up in now is gonna affect the future of music in a sense that like the music you're putting out, as I said, it's different than what I've heard and it's bridging so many gaps genre wise? Do you think that other artists are going to kind of follow the same type of shift?
I would hope so. I would love to think that. You know, if people are taking, you know, from our sound and you know, inspired by us, then that must mean that we've seen some amount of success. So I would love to be an artist that people kind of pull from and you know, take bits and pieces from. I think you know, what's the saying? Imitation is the best form of flattery, or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that would be incredible if we were.
Yeah, that absolutely. I think of it as like a little spider web. You know, you've got two bands that we like, and we're bridging the gap there, and then you're gonna have, you know, us and another band that somebody likes, and they bridge the gap there. You know, just kind of like a big circle of band life, if you will.
I mean, like the relationship between pop music and emo music, like I feel like they've been viewed very separate, very dichotomously, but the bridge is it makes so much sense. You know, like growing up with that kind of music, and then, I mean, with both genres, it just, you want to make that come together, and it's such a logical connection. I feel like a lot more people are going to start seeing that with us releasing our kind of music, and just like the way the industry, the genres are going. I feel like it's going to be a trend.
That's really interesting. I know emo is currently, I think it's in fifth wave now. Is it fifth wave? Yeah, I think so. And how they've had so many different progressions there. And like, as you mentioned earlier, stuff you grow up with kind of sticks with you. And I think that's also why we're seeing like this pop punk revival, like Machine Gun Kelly. And I was like, oh, it's now mainstream. It's cool again. Like people never left the genre. So it's very interesting to see how it's kind of cyclical.
It had a few years where it kind of went a little bit dark. There was still a following for it, but people weren't sure how to blend that with a more modernized kind of mainstream appeal. And that's why I'm really thankful for artists like Machine Gun Kelly and Youngblood and Black Bear and you know, so many others that and even Water Parks, you know, behind you right now. They're doing a great job of doing that. And so yeah, I'm thankful that it found its way back. And I think this time it's going to stay you know, in some form, you know, for a while. So hopefully we're the band that swoops in just in time and, you know, can kind of take that wave by storm.
I do have to say it's pretty interesting. I was talking to some friends. I've listened to pop punk music growing up and even now, and they loved the new Machine Gun Kelly album too, and they only listened to what's considered mainstream pop. So I was like, oh great, we're finally having that cross appeal again. And I think it's very interesting to see how, as you said, like this is now the forefront. And I think you guys are coming up at a great time since it is becoming oh so more relevant.
Mhm.
So speaking of things from when we grew up, one of the things Wagner College is known for is the movie School of Rock was filmed there
Oh,
Oh.
at
at
At,
the school. Yes.
at your school?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
way.
That's
That's dope.
so cool.
Do they ever come visit and just reminisce?
So fun fact, one of the actors who played, I'm gonna butcher the name. Okay. His name's Brian Falduto. He actually went to Wagner. He plays the kid who said, "I'm tacky and I hate you."
Oh, nice.
That's great.
So he went to Wagner and he's been back to visit and everything. But
That's awesome.
it's cool to kind of hear the history behind it. Like, I didn't realize it at first when I was going there, and someone was like, "You do know Main Hall? It's like the building." I was like, "Oh, thanks for telling me." But it's interesting to see like influences like that and stuff from growing up kind of has become more current and like reviving this whole scene.
Mm-hmm. It's sick. It's exciting. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do have a question for you from Grace. She was our PR director, and she came up with this question, and I'm going to apologize in advance. It is definitely something.
All right. We're ready.
Good.
So the question is, what are your thoughts on posthumous releases? Should they be released or should they not?
Posthumous releases?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That is a lovely question.
I think it should be if the deceased artist had expressed before they passed that they want the world to hear it. I think it should be okay if they express that, but then it gets tricky if they, maybe they didn't, maybe it was a very quick and sudden death and they didn't, I think it's I think if they say they want the world to hear it, then I don't necessarily see a problem with it, but it can get tricky. Like maybe people are releasing it because they want money from it, and then that kind of changes up the morals. So yeah, that's what I would have to say.
It's weird because for me, like my gut's telling me like, as a listener, I want to hear that. I want to hear like Elliott Smith's demos that never came to fruition. But at the same time, like when it comes to books though, I think that's something you shouldn't touch. Like don't touch David Foster Wallace's stuff unless he's like edited it, because the editing process is so, I don't know, integral to that. I feel like personally, like I can write a song 5-10 times and it's just Frankenstein, like I add a verse, change a part, this, that, and the other thing. But at some point it needs to be released, and posthumously it's like a slice into what was going on at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
My hot take on it is that, like, as claiming myself as a musical artist, maybe this is just because I'm a peacock at heart, but realistically, like, anything that I put on paper and make musically, I totally am cool with like people listening to it, because like that was the purpose of my creation, is to express it to other people, so on and so forth. There's some works that I'm not going to go out and do a publishing run on, but it's stuff like that I totally am cool with. And I feel like when money gets involved is when it's really twisted. But if I were to knock on wood here, like I die, and then obviously I would want that to go to my family, like that royalty, whatever contractual agreement I had, that goes to my family. Then yeah, like put me on any features, put me on any music you want, and keep fueling the fire, because I think that there is a sense of reputation that is added once an individual dies, that suddenly prompts more engagement, and doesn't seem like something that is heinous, I guess, if you will.
I definitely understand that. I know it's such a hard question.
It was a good
As you
one.
mentioned earlier, like as a listener, you always want to hear more. At the same time, the artists have been happy with what was actually released if they didn't have a say.
Yeah,
So it's
that's the big
very interesting. And I know it was a tough question. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess
mean,
it's also depending on the type of artist that we're talking about. You know, some people are very seclusive with their work, whereas others are very much not. You know.
mhm.
I have a lot of friends that have a huge backlog of music that they've made and never released. And I want to listen to it. Like I've told some of my friends, I will pay to put this on Spotify so I can listen to it, please. But for some of these people, they're just never satisfied. And I don't know. I want to listen to it even if they aren't ready, which is very selfish of me. But
Right.
I don't know.
I definitely get it. Like, it's a whole thing. Especially, this question actually came out because of the Mac Miller album. So,
Yeah.
yes. And one friend actually likened it to when Kurt Cobain's journal was released.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. A journal is that's
rough.
yeah. I
And
don't know.
I don't
That's
know.
intended to be
Yeah,
published,
that
you
seems pretty personal. A journal. I don't think I quite heard about that, but you know, if it's I need to look into that more. But yeah, that doesn't sound super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's like fan culture in a sense, how like some fans are always like need now, like want more, just kind of like want to go after everything. But at the same time, like you guys as artists are yourselves and shouldn't impede on your own private life and what you guys want.
Yeah, it's definitely a line to draw.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also kind of feel like nowadays with like the social media aspect, it's kind of hard to differentiate at certain points because like we see the best of every artist, and then at certain times it's like, oh wait, that happened. There's things that we don't know about. So
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely been something that we have been able to see. You know, again with like the privacy thing. I didn't mind this at all, but a couple of years ago, I don't know how they found it, but they found my 5th grade yearbook picture, and I saw it on Instagram, and I thought it was funny. I didn't really care, but it just goes to show, like, if they want to find something, they'll find it. You know.
Yeah, it's a very flexible line that we kind of like teeter across because, you know, we really want to be intimate with those who are our fans, you know, and just kind of give them the full scoop so that, you know, we can be totally transparent with them. That's what fans love. That's what we love. We love our fans, stuff like that. But it's hard because sometimes you may almost like, you know, you'll come at a little fork and you either reveal too much information accidentally or like we accidentally don't scratch off a PO box because we're not used to doing that. So like, you know, it's stuff like that where it's like, oh, can't get too comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do have to say, from like your TikTok videos and everything, you guys are very authentic in them. It's very refreshing to see because I sometimes feel like industry is very manufactured. So it's nice to see independent artists being themselves and actually gaining a good following and having people organically like listen to them.
Yeah, it's been cool recently. I think our TikTok following in the past couple of weeks has jumped like from like 40,000 to like 90,000. And mainly just me being silly in front of a camera, and we had one that did really well the other day where it was like a video that had little snippets of different 2000s rock songs, and we just we added a finger every time we knew one. Obviously we knew like every one, but just fun stuff like that. I think people are able to tell when it's genuine, and it's just fun to see people kind of latch on to our niche.
Yeah, we just love doing what we're doing and seeing people also love seeing what we're doing. You know, it's kind of like the best form of encouragement possible. It's just kind of like we're just kind of being goofy and doing what we love, and we're trying to do it. And people are so supportive. It's unreal. You know, it's cool to. They kind of almost keep us accountable for it too. You know,
The fact that we're not working with like a label or anything like that, like we feel like we don't need to pander or please some producer up there. You know, we just get to do what we want, and if fans like it, which it seems like they do, we just keep doing that.
yeah, literally.
It's really cool to hear because like on just on the listener end, it's sometimes like hard. I don't know how I'm going to try to explain this the best that I can. I think that like when an artist is discovered for the first time, it's like a phenomenal experience. And you always are like, I want to take back the first listen because I want to hear it again for the first time. And one of the things, at least I've started doing, is going through songs that people might not necessarily find in the top 5, because I feel like it's a better representation of the artist, and just hearing something that, okay, maybe this one has like 1,000 listens or whatever, but it could be the best work, say, an artist is released, and it's like, this is the song that shows us the best who they are, and this is the one that people should try to find and discover for themselves. Just my 2 cents. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I dig that. Absolutely.
And I think the industry has kind of also seen a change because of COVID. So I was wondering, what are your plans for when society reopens and it's safe to go back outside and host concerts again?
Play shows.
Play shows. We're gonna get back on stage.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it seems like the world is, you know, obviously we're not there, but it's getting there. You know, things. You know, people are getting vaccinated. They got vaccinated. I'm about to get mine. And shows are coming back. You know, so yeah, just playing as many shows as we can. We're actually planning on moving to Los Angeles soon. Yeah, so moving, you know, getting out of school, shows, more music. That's basically it.
That's the game plan.
Speaking of shows, I'm actually quite curious. What is your favorite venue that you've performed in?
The Republic in, actually, okay, there's a local New Orleans venue called the Republic that we do emo nights at, and you know, it's every night that we play there is an absolute movie. So I would say that, but also we played a sold out show at the Roxy in Los Angeles a couple years ago. We opened for this like kind of rap rock duo called Neffex, like Neffex. Super cool guys. That was a night to remember too. So yeah, I would say those 2.
Ditto. I would say those are the same exact 2.
I love the consensus.
Yeah.
I also am wondering where I'm from. I'm from Staten Island, New York, which is where Wagner College is. We don't have a local scene, like at all. It's quite sad.
Really?
Yeah. So pre-COVID, how was the scene by you guys? And do you think that the scene has helped you develop as artists?
Yes, there's a pretty good scene here for our music. You know, like I said, like we have you know, before COVID, every month there was an emo night at the Republic, and lots of people would come, like lots of people. And you know, what they do is they have you know, different local bands come on and play like an hour-long set of 2000s hits, and people are there for it. And obviously the local bands that play those shows, they obviously have their own original music, and they're playing shows, you know, everywhere else around New Orleans and Baton Rouge. And yeah, the scene is, you know, it was there, you know, at the very least, it was there to get a foundation. I think LA probably will have a slightly, you know, bigger scene for us.
Yeah.
But I can't complain really about what we have down here.
Yeah, no, it's been a great first base. Realistically, it's been a very strong first base that we've landed on. There's a lot of just incorporation of music amongst the city. So music is always kind of thing that people flock towards here. And that's kind of just helped us just kind of get the word of mouth around, and kind of get our sea legs off in terms for when we go to the big city, you know?
I love how you guys mentioned that because I feel like a local foundation is super important nowadays. As I mentioned, there's not one here, so it sucks. But like seeing the support in a hometown around an artist and a band, it's like something special. Like just it's also like that development thing where you watch them grow and you're like, hey, like they were here like way back when. So
yeah, and a lot of bands down here are doing really well. This one band that we're really tied with called the Revelries, they just got signed to Universal. They actually just put out a song the same day we dropped Bleed. So they're doing great. They ended up moving to Nashville, but they started here. And we're also tied with this band called Neutral Snap, and they're like one of the biggest, college party bands in the South. And like anywhere they play, it's going to be like a guaranteed several hundred people. And so we've seen a lot of successful people out of this scene, surprisingly, because you don't really hear about bands breaking out of southern Louisiana too much, but it's happening.
Yeah, we're gonna be that band.
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't want to keep you guys too long. So my last question for you is, what are your goals for 2021?
Dropping the music that we've had in the catalog for so long now. Really, one thing we've been getting better at and really trying to master is a good plan behind a release. In the past, there's been a couple songs that we've just dropped and we've just been like, hey, listen to that, and then we just move on. But recently we've been pushing this new song pretty well. We dropped a cover of I Want Candy a couple months ago, and we did a bunch of fun little giveaways and promotional things. And I think one of our goals as a band is really going to be like, once we release these singles really soon, just gathering as much promotion and packaging it and making sure it gets heard. So I think that's one of our goals.
Absolutely.
What about y'all?
No, you said it pretty fairly. I'd say, by year's end, again, we'd like to be already creating new music, if not have already been put out new music, apart from the two that we have backlogged that we're yet to release. And ideally, I'd like to play a show. Just one. I'm not going to be greedy here. I just want one, please. But, hopefully we can play a show.
Yeah, I just want to get all of our ducks in a row and be able to bookend this series of releases that we've stretched out for 2 years, so that we can start turn the page, have a whole new set of releases, figure ourselves out, what we want our brand to be moving forward, and how we want to develop, since we have so much room for growth.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. And I want to thank you guys so much for speaking with me. I know WCBG will always be here to support you guys and play your songs on our radio station. So thank you again.
Thank you for having us and interviewing us. It's been a blast.